So a few days ago, I finished making this video about like Endless Ocean Luminous mechanics on like the terrain generation and the mystery board. And this video is kind of going to be like an unscripted addendum to that. So basically, for the last like however long it's been since the game release, I've been keeping track of pretty much every single map I've played on. And just listing a bunch of things about it in this giant spreadsheet. And recently I hit number 250. So I figured that's like the perfect time to just stop and analyze a bunch of this. And it says it's on row 251 because row 1 is the heading. So the first data entry is actually row 2, so it's 250 total. And basically we've got like all the map IDs and all the spawn points and whether or not I have the picture of it, like the picture it gives you when you finish the map, because some of them I was lazy and didn't want to. Then we have like the large structure, and like I said, this is intended to be like a partner video to the other one, so you should probably watch that first. But if you haven't, basically there's like the one large structure and then a bunch of small ones, and then sometimes they get decorated differently, and I call that different versions of it. So yeah, and then wherever the UML is, and then the coordinates of everything, and then all the small structures. And yeah, same thing. And then like the coordinates, every single time you see that, it's going to be like the top left to bottom right. And this column, you can basically ignore this. This is based on speedrun routing things. It doesn't really apply for this. And then the last thing is this X. And basically this is for the plate objectives. And it basically means like for the things where it wants you to swim over the plate with a certain creature, it means that I was unable to find that creature. So like this one is for the singing dragon. It means this map did not have a singing dragon. And like this one's like the hammerhead shark, and it means I could not find a hammerhead shark on that map. It doesn't mean there isn't one. I don't know. Maybe I just missed it, but I was unable to find it. So yeah, let's actually look at stuff. So over here we have like all of the large structures. So like there's the ruins, the freshwater, iceberg, abyss, and canyon. And then this is how many times each one appeared, and this is how many times each version appeared. So for this one, after 250, we would basically expect 50 of each, because that's 250 divided by 5. And it's like the shipwreck, the abyss and canyon are both right at 50, which is exactly what we'd expect. But then like the iceberg's at 47, ruins 48, and freshwater at 55, which is basically close enough. Like I'd be comfortable saying that your odds of getting any large structure are basically 1 in 5. But then we have like the specific versions. And it's like, well, Ruins only has one version, so that's all 48 of them. But then the rest of these, it's like Freshwater 26 and 29 is pretty close to even. Iceberg 21, 26 is like a little off. It's still pretty close. But then like the Abyss and Canyon both somehow ended up at 31 and 19. And it's like, well, that doesn't seem very close. That's like a little less than a 40 and 60% split. So I don't know if I just got weirdly lucky with that, or if maybe there is something more to it, and like I don't know if these ones just happen to be more common or what, I don't know. Anyway, then we've got like all the UMLs, and It adds up to 250. Raja MS is the rarest because it only spawns on Abyss Whalebones, and I only found 19 of those. So that's like kind of accounted for. And then we have like the highest is Simurgdaria at 37, and that's because it's the only one that spawns on freshwater chests. So like all 26 of these automatically are Simurgdaria. And then the rest of these, like Jahara Tajir is pretty low at 17. And then there's a few more above 30, but the rest is like in the 20 range. So I think 25 is the expected value. And we end up like somewhere around there. I don't know. The thing about this is it's like which UML can spawn is dependent on the structure. So I don't know if just looking at this raw data without accounting for this is a great analysis. So we have it a bit more specific. So like for the Abyss shipwrecks, we have 20 Lambo Apsara and 11 row zeros, and that's like the most lopsided one. So then like Whalebones is also pretty lopsided, but a lot of these are closer, like the Canyon Shipwreck, 11 and 8, 14 and 17, and then there's all 26 of the freshwater chests, Simurgdaria. But like 1613 is pretty close. This is actually even at 1313. 9 and 12 is pretty close. 12 and 8 is... Oh yeah, and then we get to Ruins, because Ruins is weird because there's like 4 UMLs on one version. So you would like expect all 4 of these to spawn roughly evenly, and I found 48 of them, so you'd expect like 12 each, and we've got exactly 12 Grand Ancestor, perfect. There's 11 Merts, like close enough, about 25%. But then like 8 and 17 seems way off. And like 8 times 2 is 16, so like, I don't know, this just seems way above the expected value, I guess. We can also sort this by UML, and I don't really know how useful this is, but because, again, we're not really accounting for this, but it's like, suddenly a lot more even, because like 14 and 16 is pretty close, 12 and 13 differs by 1, 9 and 8, and 12 and 20 is like way off, because there's like 31 here and 21 there, and that's a big gap. Well, still probably a little uneven. And like 12 and 17's basically the same thing, like 31 to 19 split. And 1311's really close, and then only one Raja MS because it's only on the Abyss Whalebones. And then Rosier Rose, 11-17 is still pretty uneven, so I don't know what's up with that. Simurgdaria, again, it's like the only thing here, so that's gonna be lopsided. But if you divide this by 2, like 11-13 is pretty close, and 8 and 13 is a little off, I don't know. But this seems like a lot more normal, which is weird because it's like sorting by UML is not exactly where I'd expect it to even out. I don't know. A lot of this data is just weird. Cool. So now we've got like all the structures. So like each structure and version and how many times it appeared. And there's like 50 of these. So, and then over here we have just like the structure. So basically, like there's 76 holes. That's 32 plus 44. And then this number is there twice because that's how I double checked my work. It's basically like adding these versus scanning the entire massive table and just making sure we have the same value. And basically this just means like, yep, I fixed all the typos. Everything should be accounted for. We've got 2,484 structures. And then we're going to start with this section here, because these are all the shallow structures, because these all spawn at 10 and 15, and that's it. There's like no overlap into deeper areas, and like nothing else spawns at 10 to 15, except we also have to include the crater kelp with this group, which the craters are at the bottom because they're weird, where it's like the kelp one spawns at 10 to 15, and then the Baron and Monolith are at 30 through 50. So Crater's just at the bottom because it's weird, but technically the Crater Kelp value should be up here. And it's at 69, nice, which is the most out of anything in this section. The second is Archreef Micro Atoll at 65. Then below that, we drop all the way to 54 for like Archreef Spiky and Pawprint Rocky Tide. But then like the lowest is all the way down at 25 Bay Island Spiky Coral. So it's like, well, that doesn't seem right. Why is that so low? Because basically what you'd expect things to be more even, and like even if we look here, it's like there's 200 arch reefs and 76 holes. Well, there's like 4 arch reefs and 2 holes, but well, then you'd expect either 100 holes or 150 arch reefs, so that doesn't make sense. And then Pawprint 158, Bay Island 152, except there's 5 of these, so it's like about 30 each. Yeah, and we've got like 27, 25, and 28, and then jumps to 36. And Peanut Reef at 127, well, that's 31, jump up to 46. This is a gap of 15, and then that's at 50. So, like, these two are close, and then this is an outlier. There's just, like, so many outliers. It's like, I don't know what to make of all this. So, yeah. And over here we have, like, the percent, and this column is the percent of that each appears out of the entire 2,484. But then this one we have just the small structures, because again there's like no overlap between 10 to 15 and everything else, while like with the everything else it gets weird, and this doesn't really work out nearly as well, and we'll talk about that in a bit. But like for this section it does make sense. But you look at like this, and look at Pawprint, it's like even at all 50. And it's like, okay, well, no. Comparing like 4, almost 4, this is like almost 3% to like over 8. This is at 8.8%. I don't know. Unless you haven't seen a lot of 3s or 4s, 5s, 6. I don't know. I just don't know what to make of all this. Because, like, what you would expect to see is either the game says, okay, I'm going to generate a structure. It's going to be a Pawprint. Okay, which Pawprint is it going to be? And then it chooses one roughly evenly, like 52, 52, 54. Okay, that one kind of makes sense. But, like, if it's doing it like that, then you'd expect one that, like, these two would be about the same. It's not really. These should all be about the same. And it's like big outliers. And that's like kind of in the middle. And this is all. I mean, like, these are a little off, but these are all kind of close. And then this is an outlier. But then you'd also expect all of these to be roughly even. But, like, I don't know, we have these two are about 150, and then 127, 76. It's just, like, staggered. This gap's 51, and then this is, like, 25. this is only 6, so basically the same. But then you jump up 50, and like there's 5 Bay Islands and 4 archeries, but there's 48 more of these. So I don't know. But anyway, then we can look at like the let's go to medium depth. So these are all 20 and 30, and that's it. They're only the 20 to 30 range, except a few of these, the kelp ones, are only at 20 and not 30. So it's like there's 17 valley kelp and 19 blue cave kelp. And those are like quite a bit lower than a lot of what we're seeing here, which makes sense. That's expected. Let's see. 17 times was 34 and 38, so that's maybe, I don't know, lower than the valleys or the plate stacks, but I don't know. Like, Blue Cave, we have 27 and 22. Well, that's, like, 19 and 22 are comparable, but hypothetically, this one should spawn twice as often. And, I don't know, Ghost Island's also kind of rare. Like this one, this difference is 3, but this one has an extra version. Like there's 4 of these and roughly 140. Okay, that's double this. That's like roughly double this. Okay. It's comparable to this, but then way off. It's like, I don't know, 139 is roughly double 68. That's like 3 versions versus 4. And then plate stack has 141 with 3. So why is this more than double this when, like, aside from the kelp being rare, these should hypothetically be about even? So I don't know. I guess there's evidence that no, it's not all equal chance, but I don't have, like, proof of that. The other thing is, like, we look at this, and it's like, okay, everything's in, like, the 1 to 2 range, and then we have, like, I don't know, the kelp's lower, and it's like, well, I don't know, then maybe it does maybe, like, this one being super rare really was just RNG, and that randomly happened. And I don't know. But then we have, like, the rest of these, and these all, I don't know, I say they're like the 30 to 50, because it's like, all these can spawn at 30 to 50, and it's like, but then it's like, these are only 20 through 30, and these two are only 20 through 30, and then these 3 are 20 to 30, except this one is only 20, so 18 is like right between that 19, 17, that makes sense. And soft coral is, no, soft coral's like only at 30, so that's 17. Well, that's the same as that. That makes sense. And then the 2 craters, 45 and 48, okay, that's the entire 30 through 50 range. But it's like, okay, so then we have, like, these, well, the rest of these are all only 30 through 50. So 30 is weird, because I'm just going to go over those again in case you didn't catch it, but it's like, you have 20 through 30, or 20 through 30, it's roughly there, I don't know, it's not exact, and then roughly 30 through 50. Note that, like, there's an overlap where pretty much anything can spawn at 30, so that makes the math super weird. And unless I go through and count, like, okay, this is how many times everything appeared specifically at a depth of 20 or specifically at a depth of 30, which I don't feel like doing. I don't know, maybe sometime I'll get to doing that, but not now. Unless I do that, it's like, well, this just doesn't make sense. I don't know, that's probably the piece I'm missing, but still, we can look at, like, the stuff that's only the 30 through 50 range, because that means, like, if you you're at 40 or 50, then you have a super small selection of things that can spawn. So we have like these 2 ring reefs plus the shipwreck, and also the 3 islands barren. Those are all over 100. Okay, that makes sense. We have the 2 bluffs ones at like 80, 88, and 84. Okay, that's kind of comparable. They're both clearly significantly less, like a good bit less, but it still kind of makes sense. But then it's like, but island should hypothetically be just as common as bluffs, but it's like, there's only 93 of these, and we have, well, nearly 93 of each. So I don't know why bluffs are almost twice as common. Oh, and then there's lake, because it's like, these two, all of the lakes are roughly even, except barren and shipwreck are 30 through 50, and lettuce and sticks are 20 and 30. Actually, no, this is cool, because it's like 35, 36, those differ by 1, 43, 41, those differ by 2, and then the 41 to 36 gap is 5. I don't know, maybe this sample size is still too small, where it's like, this doesn't really mean anything. Because what's this gap? Like 0.3%. Slightly less, no, slightly more than 3.32%. I have no idea. Oh, but then that crater, the 20 through 30 range is, what is that, 45 and 48. That's like also 93. Look, that's tied with Bud Island. Well, like, okay, the 2 deep lakes are 36 and 41. That adds to 77. So that's less than either of the bluffs. So yeah, like, I just don't know what to make of this. And look at that, 528 ring reefs. That's so much. What? Hold on a sec. That's 21% of all small structures. And remember, second place was only 200, so it's still more than twice as common as that. That's a gap of over 300. That's a lot. So, I guess really the only thing I can say is, maybe this isn't just equal chance of everything. Maybe some of these are intentionally rarer. I don't know. The other cool thing I have on here is I've, used formulas to calculate how often each map has however many structures. So basically each map can have 8, 9, 10, 11, or 12. This one I think is 12. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. I don't count the large structure, that's a given. But 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 small there. Yeah. And, okay, like, again, like 50 is the expected value, exactly 20%. So I had that for 10, and then 48, 48, and 48. So that's all, and then 56 there. So I think it's close enough to say basically a 1 in 5 chance for anything. Average is 9.93. So like over 9.9, I'm fine saying that's basically 10. Like, this is a random sample, of course, so a different sample could produce like a 10.1 there. I don't know. Cool. Yeah, so that's most of this sheet. I don't know if someone wants to go through. I don't know. The other thing is, like, these are all of my, like, these are all maps that I randomly generated. Some of them were online, some of them were solo, but I did not like go out online and look up maps to include for this data. Now, I personally encountered all of these. Some of them were online, some of them were not. And it's like with the online ones, because I know like everyone only wants to play online. Like you have to complete 80% and get the picture to actually get the ID. But with solo, you can actually see the ID from the main menu, so you don't actually need to get the picture and complete the map. The other thing about online dives is that it'll just put you somewhere random, and then if you like leave the diving, re-enter the same online dive while it's still online, it'll just put you somewhere else random. But then if you like take the ID and load it up in a solo dive, it'll always put you on the same spot. So all these spawn points, if it was online, I did actually go into solo mode and double check where it spawns you. Yeah, so that should be basically all of this. Don't think I wanted to go through anything else here. You know what, just because it's kind of cool. Yeah, so this is one of my spreadsheets I made while I was routing a speed run of this game, which you can watch on my YouTube channel. But yeah, so like the deep, like 30 through 50, there's 12 of these. Because again, we don't count row 1, so there's 12 of these, and then row, like the medium depth, 20 through 30, 22. So quite a bit more, and then the shallow stuff, 19 of those, or 18 of those. So yeah. Whatever. Okay, cool. And then the other cool thing I made was I just took a bunch of this data and made some heat maps of where stuff spawns. I want you over there, actually. Yeah, so first, like this is the spawn point on the map. I don't know if this is really like enough data yet, because like this is 100 squares and 250 data points, so there's still some zeros, and I think that doesn't really mean, I don't think anything really means anything just yet. Like 0 doesn't mean you can't spawn there, it means I haven't seen it yet. Of course, then there's like 6 of this. I don't know, I guess that one's just lucky. I don't know if that actually means anything. So probably I have a bunch of large structures. I split up the large structures between like not canyon, and then I did the canyons separate because they're a different shape. And then I added the 2 canyons together, and then added everything else together. I don't know. I think it's interesting that there's nothing right in the middle. Oh yeah. So for all of this structure stuff, this is based on the top left corner. So it's like all of these structures are like 2x2 squares, or it's a canyon, which is 2x4, or it's like a 4x4. It's always the top left corner I'm referencing. So it's like this A0 would actually be like A0 to B1. So it actually takes up, that's my formula, it actually takes up like all 4 of these squares. And the really cool thing you can notice with this one is it's like you have the B and D and F and H, and then rows 1, 3, 5, and 7 are all significantly like rarer. So we get like this kind of checkerboard pattern, or I don't know, maybe plaid's slightly more accurate. But like there's, I think 92 is our most common versus 2. And So basically, what we can do is we take our map, and so we have like this big 10 by 10 grid with all of these like 2 by 2 squares and like 4 by 4 squares. And then you say like, okay, well, how many of these can we fit onto a single map? And it's like, well, there's one here, and then the next place, well, this just happens to be like the same shape, so that kind of works out. But oh, let's look at this one actually, because it's in the corner. Where's the next place you can put it? Well, right here at G0, or right below it at I2. And this one is at H2, or it could be there. It could also be there. But then you have like down here, these two are at G4 and I4. So basically what I did was I overlaid a grid on top of it. And that's just like separates it into what I'm calling like the main grid is like all these 2 by 2 squares, or now the major grid I think is probably a slightly better name. So I have like our major grid, which is these, anything that fits in these 2 by 2 squares. Oh yeah, and if I go back to Excel, this number is the total that line up with this major grid. So that's like 25 squares, literally a fourth of a map, and it accounts for nearly 60% of all small structures. We're kind of ignoring the large ones for this because they play by their own separate rules. Oh, and just because I didn't say it, like, we have, like, row 9 and column J are empty because, like, this one, like, the corner would be there, these 4 squares, and that's right there. And, like, you can't spawn on this corner because that's going off the map. So that's why this is blank, and, like, these are all 4 by 4, so it's this size, and like this one is this size. Yeah, and that's what that means. Yeah, and like that one would be this size. So yeah. Anyway, back to this. Yeah, so we have like these 3 are all on the major grid, and then also this one, and this one, and this one, and this one, and this one. But then these 2 are off the grid. And then the large structures just kind of do whatever they want. They're weird, because it's like, the small structures, this one's a slightly better example. So, like, the small structures are tied, we talked about this earlier, they're tied to certain depths. So, like, on this map, the different colors, which you can see very clearly, are different depths. So here is, I think this is 40, it's either 40 or 50, and this one is 20. And then there's, like, this nice dividing line between them. And it's like all the structures that spawn in the 40 range all have to be allowed to spawn in 40. I don't know. It's like in the 40 range, only the things in the list of things that spawn in 40 can spawn. You should get the idea, even though I'm not articulating it that well, because like it sets the terrain and then says which structure am I going to put in 20, and it looks at the list of things that can spawn at 20 and chooses from there. And then we have the canyon, and the large structures just kind of ignore that. Like on this one, it's off the major grid because it's split like here and here. And that's not always the case, but here it is. The large structures, since they don't follow the rule about C4 depth, they just kind of do whatever they want, or they just get plopped down, and they're like, oh well, I'm like, the canyon I think is at 30, and it's completely surrounded by 20, and it just doesn't care. So canyon, or well, not just a canyon, all the large structures like this one too, you can see there's like a difference in the color here. All the large structures just kind of ignore that rule. Here it randomly works out with like the blue right here and here is basically the same. That's not always the case. Sometimes it is. Here, this one's just completely different. But the cool thing about the terrain depth is that it will always follow this major grid. And I think the reason it does that is, oh yeah, and sometimes it does get weird around here, like around the large structures, because the large structures, like I said, they just do whatever they want. So it just like kind of overlaps, like this square would hypothetically be the same depth as this, which should be 15, I think. Yeah, I'm pretty sure this is all 15. And this would hypothetically be 15, except the large structure got plopped down on top of it. And I'm pretty sure the reason for this is so that structures have a place to spawn. It's like, because they're all 2x2. So basically it's like if it was a, well, they need at least a 2x2 spot to spawn on. And this happens like every single time. Again, you might get like some weirdness around the large structures. It's like here and here. But again, if you ignore that, like this is part of a large structure, these two squares would hypothetically be this depth. So my guess based on this is like, yeah, it generates the depth first, plops down a large structure somewhere, and then just places small structures on top of that. And again, it's like this perfectly follows that major grid. Yeah. And I have like about 150 maps in this folder. Oh, here's a good example. So like right here we have some weirdness where it's like we have these two tiles which are this shallow depth, and then we have these two which are this medium depth. I think that's 30. And then all this is 50, and this abyss is, or the edge of the abyss is 50 as well. So it's like, well, there's two squares here, so, you know, let's pretend that the way this generated, this is not an abyss, this is just 50 deep, and it's just nothing. Well, you can't put a structure there, and you can't put a structure here, because they're only two, well, they're 1x2. You need 2x2. And then 1, 2, 3, 4. Well, this map has 11 structures out of a possible 12 and a minimum of 8. So hypothetically, you could put one more. But it's like you can't go there. So like having a minimum size of 2x2 terrain means that it's like guaranteed to be able to place structures. Yeah. Oh, and I'm kind of gonna zoom through these. You can pause it if you want to, but if you do pause it, you're gonna see that it's like every single time consistent. It always like the terrain changes always follow that major grid. And I fast it, of course. I'm going back now because, oh wait, there's an exception. Now, if you look at this one, we see, and this one's kind of subtle, but like right here, this one tile is randomly different from everything else. Same like these two. Also, we have two large structures. And that is because this is an event dive. And you can tell because there is no map ID. So this was the first event dive they did after release. And the thing about event dives is, at least I believe, I don't know for sure, but it seems like they actually have humans go through and place everything instead of just automation and algorithms. Because everything feels a lot more human, like when you actually explore and look at the creatures and stuff. Like here, we've got a different depth compared to this. And this one is still kind of trying to mimic the way the randomly generated maps look. Because there's only two, well, I guess 3 depths if you count some of these structures. And then, oh, this is 10 and 15, wow. But then there's like 2 large structures, and that's the thing that makes this map special. But there's only 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, there's 9 small structures, which is honestly kind of on the low end. So yeah. Anyway, now we just go back through. And this is another event dive. So, yeah, 1 large structure this time, but again, they went a lot more crazy with this one. So it's like these 2 are different colors in the same square. These 2, this is different, here and here. And you just don't see that at all with the generated ones. And also, this structure is right in the center, which I did not encounter at all with my 250 maps. Yeah, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Yeah, and this one has 14 small structures, so that's already like 2 more than you would normally see, than you would normally be able to spawn. Yeah. Now here's another kind of cool one. So it's like we've got these tiles, which are like this whole section's 15, but it's like this row of 1 it still ends right at this line on the major grid, but then like hypothetically these ones that are cut off by the abyss would also be a depth of 10. Like these ones, and just the rest of the map is 30. And normally this one has like a lot that's 30. Normally you don't see like a section this big of just 1 depth. Oh, here's another event dive. This one has 3 large structures, 2 canyons and a ruins. And it's like kind of symmetrical, where it's like we have these ghost islands and opposing corners, and then these canyons basically opposing each other, these 2 across, and these ones and these ones. So that's like 10 small structures plus 3 large ones. And also, usually when they do this, they try and separate them out with like the different structure or the different versions. So like one of these is a whale bones and one of these canyons is a shipwreck. I bet these are the 2 different Ghost Island versions. And also, like, you can tell these craters are different depths, and both of them have the cave in the middle, not the monolith. So that is like definitely the 2 different versions. Also, these 2 bluffs are a shipwreck and no shipwreck. Oh, and then of course we have ruins in the middle, which is the 1 large structure with exactly 1 version. Yep. Oh, this is kind of cool with like the canyon just in the middle surrounded by tin. Because canyons just kind of do what they want. And like sometimes you do see where it's like there's a structure just kind of off by itself. But look at that. It fits perfectly in the major grid. Oh, here's another event dive, and they really crammed a lot more into this. Where it's like 2 large structures and like 5, 10, 14 small ones again. And over here, like all 4 of these are different. Like you don't see that on the regular dives. And of course you can tell it's event because there is no map ID. Here's another event dive. And this is an event dive. I was in the canyon when this one ended, so it's dark. But like you can still pretty much make everything out. And this is also an event dive. This is like the period where I didn't really play the game at all, but occasionally I still did event dives. And this is, I have 3 pictures of this event, where they decided to completely fill the map with structures. So, yeah, and this one just really shows like, yeah, this is what you get if you try to use up all the space with your 2x2 squares. I don't know. That's the same picture. Okay. Oh, and here's another event dive. I think this is the last event dive I have a picture of. And that's the last one. Okay. Cool. And then one more thing, just because it's like kind of cool. So I have over 380 hours on my main save file, and I'm keeping track of like how many large and small creatures I have, how many medals, because you don't, there's like an achievement for getting all of them. So I just kind of wanted to show my progress after 380 hours and 250 maps. Now there's a caveat that like not all 250 were on the same file. And also I have like a lot of those 380 hours were like speedrun routing, and also my testing of like which UML variants are on each map, where like each of these tests took 3 to 4 hours. So this is like 30 hours. But yeah, anyway, I'm at 509 small and 515 out of, was it 578, I think? 475 are complete, which is this giant list here. These are only the ones where I still need 1 or both medal or gold medals. And then how long it's been since my last update to that creature. Now, I created this chart on August 21st, 2024. So, like, a few of these still have not updated since then. And then over here, this is the remaining stickers I have to buy, how much each of them cost, and the grand total. I do have about, like, I don't know, a good amount stored up right now, so really this is down to like 3 million once I actually spend all my money. But yeah. Yep, that's all I got. Thanks for watching. Bye.